I'm Cara and welcome to my channel. Today I'm joined again by my husband Thomas.
Hiya.
And we're going to be talking about travelling with a young baby or toddler. From our experience, and I know the experiences of some of my friends, travelling can be a little bit daunting and stressful for the first time. We've travelled quite a lot with Ben in his first 2 years. We actually flew with him for the first time when he was only 5 weeks old because he was born prematurely in Germany, and then we had to fly back with our newborn when we were able to do so.
Or take a train for 26 hours.
Yeah, that was the other option, taking a really long train. We definitely decided the flight was the best option. And today we're going to be sharing our tips, things that we've learned over the past 2 years that make travelling with a baby or a toddler less stressful.
Apart from going back and forth to Germany to see my family and friends, either by car or by plane, we've also been to France on a work trip where we took Ben along and we stayed in a hotel. Then we went to Greece on our first real family holiday for I think 10 days, and we stayed in a small apartment and rented a car. And then we did a really big trip last November when he was 16 months old to New Zealand, where we rented a campervan for 6 weeks and drove around the 2 islands.
Yeah, that was also our first long haul flight experience. Yeah. So let's get started with our advice for stress-free travel with a baby or a toddler. So let's talk about flying.
Our very first flight was actually even before Ben's due date, and we were a bit scared and apprehensive before, but in the end it was totally fine. Ben slept the whole time. He didn't really care if he was on a plane or just at home, and the air hostesses were super cute, and they all wanted to give him a cuddle and were super accommodating. And I think it made us less scared for everything else to come afterwards travel-wise.
Yeah, and I would also say that it's a great idea to feed during takeoff and landing. Just the kind of sucking action and swallowing really helps to make sure that they don't get sore ears and start to get really upset and cry. So we definitely did that. I was breastfeeding, so that did make it easy because we didn't have to take bottles and things like that on the plane. But I know you're absolutely allowed to take formula milk.
They will also heat it up for you.
Yeah, they will also heat it up for you and things like that. But that really helps just to make sure you don't have a screaming baby because they're in pain. When we flew up until the age of about a year, Ben definitely still spent the majority of the flights sleeping. I think the kind of like motion of the plane definitely just put him to sleep, and that was great because it made our jobs really easy. We also sometimes tried to time the flights with a nap, so we knew that around lunchtime Ben normally has a nap, so if we were flying around that time of day, it meant that he would definitely sleep and it would be a really smooth journey.
But we also quickly found out there's only so much you can plan because lots of the flights have delays. We had one with 2-hour delays, and it meant actually Ben slept the whole time at the airport instead of the plane. And that would bring me to my next tip, that you definitely keep that in mind, plan that in, and take enough spare nappies and snacks and toys and patience for your an extended journey of like 3-4 hours longer that you actually expected to get. It just internally pre-prepared for that.
I would say it's also a really good tip to change nappies before you board the plane. Ben liked to kind of throw this plan off by always deciding to poo just on takeoff or just at landing, so that we had to kind of rush off to change him or to try and quickly use the onboard changing facilities, which are an experience.
Which brings me straight to my next tip, which is tag team the nappies changes on the plane. Because I had to do it once by myself, and it is horrible. Like, you have no space, there's air coming out everywhere. Ben was screaming. I was traumatized for a good 4 months afterwards.
Yeah, I think everyone on the plane was traumatized.
Everybody heard it, everybody was giving me like condescending looks. And if you have the possibility, so if there's 2 of you and only 1 child, if you're traveling together and don't have another toddler or child to look after, do it together. Have one person handing you the stuff out because there's so limited space. Or even if you're by yourself, like really arrange your nappy bag so you can just take it out in the right order and don't need to like keep rummaging around when you're in the tiny toilet.
I would also say that a carrier is a great shout. I know that lots of airlines do let you take your buggy or pram up to the actual doors of the plane, so if you feel that you really need it in an airport, absolutely go for it. For us, we just find it a little bit clunky, and sometimes, especially if we travel with budget airlines, then there are stairs in order to get onto the plane, and that's just really difficult with a buggy, so we just prefer to have him in a carrier on our fronts or on our backs. Also, it means if he's fallen asleep, then it doesn't matter. We can just keep him asleep and we don't have to wake him up in order to take him out of his buggy or pram.
One other tip would be, if you have 2 pieces of luggage or even a hand luggage and the checked luggage, split your baby essentials up between the 2, because we had really good friends They flew to New Zealand. They had everything in one suitcase for the baby. That suitcase got lost, and they were stuck in New Zealand for the first 10 days without anything for the baby. So they had to go and buy everything anew. So if you have the possibility, just like
split it up.
Split up, because it happens more often than you actually like think.
Yeah, and also even just having a spare pair of clothes in your hand luggage, or a few spare changes of clothes, means you're prepared for pretty much any situation. And as babies become toddlers, it's also a good idea to start to think about entertainment on board. So we have recently bought Ben a little child-sized backpack, and we fill that with things to keep him busy when we're going on a journey, and he just carries that as his carry-on luggage.
Also looks super cute.
Also does look adorable, yeah. And things that really work for us are things like sticker books, because that keeps him busy for a really, really long time. Books with lots of different images where there's loads of discussion that you can have. Also, we don't give Ben a lot of screen time, but we have loaded an iPad previously with just some songs, and that's really great if we just need a little bit of a break from keeping him busy and he's not sleeping.
Which I also think is a really good idea if you have maybe like one new toy that he's never seen before and you just bought, because then he's super excited, and it just like, for Ben it means he's like happy with this new toy for at least half an hour because it's something.
Yeah, or even a toy that actually you've put out of rotation for a while, so it almost seems new when you bring it back out again on the plane. And the last tip I know it won't apply to everybody, but I am a really nervous flyer, and I think as much as possible it's really important to not pass that fear onto your children. So when there's any form of turbulence, or even during takeoff and landing, I am like gripping onto the handles of the seat. Thomas luckily is not at all afraid of flying, which is great, because if there is kind of an issue or some turbulence, then Thomas can kind of take the reins and
just
keep
treat
it
it
on
as a
him.
game that it's bouncy.
Yeah.
And Kara's definitely done really well with that. Ben has never noticed anything, and he has quite a positive adventure excitement like attitude towards flying, because we always treat it as something really nice, something really exciting, so he looks forward to it, and he's never shown any sign of fears or apprehensiveness of being on a plane.
Obviously, flying is not the only way to travel. We have actually driven down to Germany quite a few times, which is a journey that lasts a few days. And we're going to be doing this again in a few weeks' time. We're going to be driving down to visit Thomas's family. So we're going to take you along with us and also make a video about how we keep Ben busy on a 2-day car journey as well. And now let's talk a little bit about attitudes and expectations. So I think one of the things that we found so difficult when we started travelling with Ben is that we had very different expectations of what holiday would be like. We were kind of basing it off our expectations of holidays pre-child, and definitely going on holiday with a baby or a toddler is something completely different from going on a holiday as a couple.
It's definitely something I really struggled with on the New Zealand holiday, because I've looked up so many hikes, so many activities, so many places, that I felt really rushed in the first 5 days to get all these things done that I wanted to do. And because like traveling with a toddler just takes 10 times longer than without one, meant that I was on Kara's back trying to like push her to be faster, and I felt stressed. And
It made me stressed.
And the sooner I realized that I just need to chill and accept that whatever we manage to see is totally fine, and if we don't see everything, that's also okay, and just enjoy the time more, and also enjoy breakfast and enjoy a longer lie, and like just playing a little bit more in the morning. That's actually the quality time that you have, instead of like going to the next place, seeing the next thing. And
I also think you need to make sure it's fun for everyone involved. I know, for example, Thomas and I did a lot of hiking and we really loved being in the mountains, but now we need to think about, okay, but is that going to be fun for Ben being in a back carrier for the whole day on a mountain? We need to make sure there are lots of stops where he's doing something that he really enjoys. So it is, you know, adding another person to your family means there's one more person you have to think about. You just have to make sure that when you're planning things, you are kind of considering ahead that it's something that everyone will enjoy.
And I don't think it means like sacrificing on the things that you want to do. It just means maybe having a day of hiking and then having like a day at the beach where Ben can run around. I do think a holiday is a more stressful situation in terms of you're not at home, you don't have all your familiar things around you.
Yeah, you're also completely out of your routine.
It's true, they change a lot, but just don't add any pressure onto that, and just enjoy the time as a family. It doesn't matter really what you're doing.
So now let's have a chat about accommodation and actually being on holiday. Something which we found which is really useful is that actually just contacting the place that you're going to stay before you go means that you very rarely have to take very much baby equipment. So normally they do have things like travel cots and high chairs.
The only thing that I would recommend is if you really need those things, get in touch early, because quite often they have a limited availability.
The good thing is that most airlines will let you take 2 pieces of baby luggage, and that normally includes the budget airlines as well, and that has been great. We've taken things like car seats. Actually, our big hiking carrier can count as one of those, so if you can get the travel cot and things like that already there, it means that you have more luggage to take the things that you really want.
We also bought one of the car seat travel bags, which is a massive huge bag, and it's a really great idea to smuggle some extra luggage, for example big bulky jackets.
I think another thing that I absolutely hadn't considered before we went on holiday with Ben for the first time is that Ben goes to bed pretty early. When we first went on holiday when he was like 8 months, he went to bed at 7 o'clock in the evening. That is a lot of time to be around the hotel at night. One thing which was brilliant, which we actually hadn't planned for, was that we had a balcony, and that gave us a lot of freedom because we could sit out there without having to be really quiet. We got some wine,
some olives
and just chat and spend some time actually to reconnect as a couple, because that's obviously really difficult when you have a newborn.
Because of that, it also meant that we rarely went out for dinner during the holidays, but in the end we just swapped it around and went out for lunch instead, which meant no tired, no grumpy baby, and then just had something small when we came home on the balcony, or some bread and cheese. Which worked really well.
Yeah, it was also then nice and relaxed, and also you can save quite a lot of money by going out for a big meal at lunchtime as opposed to in the evenings. Another thing was that we had the ability to cook in the apartment, which was also really great when you have a weaning baby. It wasn't very big, it was just like a little hot plate, but that gave us lots of possibilities to make something up quickly for Ben, or if we're making something for ourselves in the evening, like Thomas said, we had a fridge to store cheese and things like that, so that's definitely a good thing to look for if it's possible. And also having a kitchen sink meant that we had a sink big enough to bath Ben in, because we didn't take a baby bath and he wasn't super keen on showers. Another thing worth considering is definitely naps. So obviously being on holiday, your routine is going to be thrown off quite a bit, but Ben was still having quite a long nap when we went on our holiday to Greece, and if he didn't have that nap, because he doesn't nap as well when he's in a carrier as he does if he's actually in his cot, then he got a little bit grumpy. He was obviously very tired because it was an overwhelming, exciting experience to be on holiday, so many new things to see and do. But for example, if one day we were doing a full day hike or a full day excursion into one of the cities, we'd make sure that the next day we maybe just went to the beach in the morning, and then he got the chance to have a full nap in his cot in the afternoon, and that definitely helped to keep the balance and not make him too overtired.
We also find it so helpful, and I know we mentioned this before the plane, just to have a carrier instead of a buggy or a pram with you on holiday, because it meant we could use it for the hikes and even for like exploring the cities. Lots of the cities have cobblestones and tons of stairs up and down, and it just made exploring things so much quicker, so much hassle-free. He could sleep in it, he could look out, it was perfect.
Yeah. And I actually made a video on baby wearing last week, so I'll make sure I link that above and below in case you want to check that out. I know this one is a little bit of an obvious one, but just making sure that you have enough of the real essentials, at least for the first few days, really helps to relieve the stress. So with a baby, that might be formula milk. With a weaning toddler, for us that was just like the little meal pouches and things, and it meant that we weren't super stressed when we arrived to try and find a supermarket straight away. It also means if there are any delays at the airport and things like that, you're not stressing out about the fact that things might be closed by the time you arrive at your hotel.
Some countries also have crazy opening times.
That's true. And medicines really fall into that as well. Ben was teething quite a lot of the times that we travelled, so we always made sure we had teething powders, baby paracetamol, things where you're not sure of the brands and things like that, and it might be a little bit difficult to identify in another country. We'd love to hear if you have any other tips for travelling with a baby or toddler, so please leave me a comment below and let me know what you need to add to the conversation. Thomas and I are really quite enjoying doing these sit-down chatty videos, and we do have a few others planned for the weeks to come, so make sure that you're subscribed if you aren't already so that you don't miss a video.
I hope these couple of tips were really helpful and you can enjoy travelling as much as we do.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you'll join us again soon. Bye bye!
Bye!